You too, and great day, everyone. Welcome to MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 30th of August 2022. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all Malaysians a early Happy Independence Day, which is happening in a few hours. MSBS is very grateful to have with us Maha Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh. Ante was born on July 14, 1985, and had his coordination into the Ayurveda tradition of Thai Dhamma sect starting from Sri Johor, Malaysia in 2008. But he is currently the religious advisor to Buddhist Youth Network Singapore and has been conducting MSBS Weekly Tuesday Guided Meditation since July 2020. This week we'll be starting on a new subject titled
It's
Bahiya
wrong
Sutta.
piece. Sing piece. It's wrong piece here.
Now let us compose our minds, put our hearts together, and welcome Bhante. Over to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you, Terence. Okay, so we start off with giving 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow, second bow, and third bow. And we start with the opening chanting, the homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. And the 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. And the 5 precepts. Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamisu miccācara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvāda viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramiraya majjapamadatthana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so good evening to one and all. And like what Terence has mentioned, a happy early Independence Day to all Malaysians in advance. So we are starting with this topic called this Bahiya Sutta, suggested by someone who is not present today. So let's see how much we can cover. So like you can see in the diagram, it's about the 6 senses. yeah, six sense bases in Buddhism, which is quite important. So last week or the previous topic, we talked about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. So that's more like in theory. So today is more on like the application, how to like apply. And actually, this sutta is quite short also, so maybe not much on application, so we need to expound or expand a little. Okay, so let's kick off without further ado. Start with the opening. Okay, so I'll just simply read through the story of this Bahiya Sutta, and whenever there's a need to pause, then I'll just add whatever thing that needs to be elaborated. Okay, so in the beginning of the sutta, I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying near Savatthi at Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. So this is probably the time when Buddhism was already quite established. So the rich merchant Anathapindika already has built a monastery. The Buddha was already probably quite well known, quite popular at the time. And on that occasion, Bahiya of the bark cloth was living in Suparaka by the seashore. He was worshipped, revered, honored, venerated, and given homage, a recipient of robes, alms, food, lodgings, and medicinal requisites for the sick. Okay, so there is another recluse, or another monk also. He's not a Buddhist monk, but he's like, we call it a bark cloth ascetic. So if you can see from the diagram, this is one of the more modern pictures. Bahiya doesn't look like this. I just got it from Google Images. So there are practices where they get the bark from the tree and make it like a fabric and make it like a cloth. So they wear it. So they call this a bark cloth ascetic. So in the Thai forest tradition, we use the tree, maybe the bark, or sometimes deeper part of the wood, the branches or the trunk, to color the ropes. So our ropes, forest tradition ropes, similar color with the bark of the tree. So it's a bit like tea making. When you boil the tea bag, so basically the tea bag we put in full of the tree chips or the bark or whatever it is, and we boil it so the water turns brown, and we dip the cloth inside the solution. So therefore our cloth turns to that color. So whereas this bark cloth ascetic straight away use the bark as the cloth, so they have a different process. So anyway, it looks brown, but like in this diagram, they wear like, maybe they keep their hair, yeah, or they wear a turban, I can't tell. Maybe they keep a turban. Looks like the hair. Okay, so anyway, they keep a long hair, they don't shave their head, so at least we can differentiate. Because from far, if we wear the same color, very hard to tell. If they shave their head, then it's hard to distinguish. Okay, so then, so they also receive offerings, robes, alms, food, lodgings, medicinal requisites. So they go for alms round also. Okay, then when he was alone in seclusion, this line of thinking appeared to his awareness. Now of those who in this world are arahants or have entered the path of arahants, am I one? Right, so the ultimate goal of the ascetics or the recluses that time, we call them the Samana tradition. That's why the Buddha went forth also to this particular monkhood, is to look for the truth, become an arahant, become an enlightened being. So it's like, in a way, like a healthy competition. Everyone wants to like leave society, go to the forest, go to the cave, want to seek answers in life. So, so he questioned himself, did he reach his objective? Have he become an arahant? Okay, so next slide. So somehow you still have certain doubt, and a good thing. Then a devata, that means a heavenly being, who had once been a blood relative of Bahiya, of the bark cloth, compassionate, desiring his welfare, knowing with her own awareness the line of thinking that had arisen in his awareness, went to him and on arrival said to him. Okay, so some people may encounter heavenly beings. Some people, when they practice, they do not encounter heavenly beings. Sometimes it has to be their karmic connections. If you're, uh, if you are like nice to your relatives, and in your past life or even your present life, and if they are born as a deity, they will come and help you. So in like most Asian traditions, we have this thing called ancestor worship. So kind of like this concept. It's not to, we don't do this out to ask for 4D numbers, but basically, dedicate merits, and of course, they can help us spiritually. Okay, so the heavenly being replied to Bahiya, you, Bahiya, are neither an arahant, nor have you entered the path of arahantship. You don't even have the practice whereby you would become an arahant or enter the path of arahantship. So he's trying to say, this Devata is trying to say, he's totally off course. You don't even have the practice whereby you would become an arahant or enter the path of arahantship. Okay, so again, this is what happened 2,500 years ago. I have not met him, or no, I do not know his practice. So maybe, right, he might have other kinds of attainment. Maybe he has some samadhi, maybe has some levels of concentration. Then he replied, he asked the heavenly being, then who in this world with its devas are arahants or have entered the path of arahantship? So the heavenly being replied, Bahiya, there is a city in the northern country named Savatthi. There the Blessed One, an arahant, rightly self-awakened, is living now. He truly is an arahant and teaches the Dhamma leading to arahantship. Okay, so again, heavenly beings, I'm not sure the practitioners here may or may not encounter heavenly beings. Sometimes their advice may not be 100% accurate. May not be 100% accurate. No? Heavenly beings, again, their abilities have different spectrum, different ranges. Some case studies would be like even in the Buddha's time, before the Buddha got enlightened, some of the deities, were like cheerleading, like speculating. And when the Bodhisattva Gautama was doing his fasting, about to die, some of the heavenly beings say, okay, he has reached arahantship. Some of them were doubtful, some of them have different opinions. So not all of them have the same synchronization or same kind of legend. Like when you look at the map, there's like a legend. This icon mean this thing, that icon mean that building or that structure or that terrain. So not all of them have the same kind of understanding. Whatever abilities they have, could be mind reading or divine eye. So when they look at somebody who appear bright, they do not know whether is it enlightened or is it state of concentration. So they have different perceptions. So even after the Buddha got enlightened, some of the deities also came to test the Buddha. Are you really enlightened? No. They have doubts and stuff like that, right? So similarly, so when this Bahiya received this clue or this answer from this heavenly being, I believe he's quite fortunate, maybe, right? This heavenly being did receive teachings from the Buddha before, or have certain abilities to judge whether Buddha is enlightened. Okay, so she advised Bahiya to visit the Buddha to receive teachings and learn the Dhamma. All right, so this is the part of the story. So next. Okay, and then Bahiya, deeply chastened by the Devata, left Suparaka right then, and in the space of one night went all the way to where Blessed One was staying near Savatthi and Jeta's grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Okay, so I'm not sure what's the distance between this Suparaka and this Savatthi, right? So, but by the looks of it, seems like quite a long distance, and through one night, yeah, he's able to travel long distance. So either he's a very fit person, or he cultivated until he has certain, we call this psychic abilities, able to maybe move fast or something with the mind or something. So that's why he may believe that he is an arahant. So it's very common belief, not just in the Buddhist community. I think most people, they want to see some kind of evidence. If a person just speak nice, profound teachings, very hard to judge whether they are enlightened or not enlightened. Some people want to see some show. So in order to sort of judge whether a person is an arahant, maybe they need to fly, or maybe they need to do some mind reading and stuff like that, right? So they take this kind of sign as states of achievement or realization. But like in many of our classes before, we call this mundane higher knowledges. So again, maybe I can repeat 5 higher mundane knowledges like divine eye, divine ear, seeing past lives, like telekinesis, like flying through the wall, flying the air, walking through walls, stuff like that. And the 5th one, mind reading. So all these 5 are considered mundane knowledges. That means some people can be born with these abilities. They are not enlightened. Demons can be born with this ability, like Mara also has these abilities. And again, for people who cultivate or train to have these abilities, they can use it for mundane purposes. We talk about more modern case studies, like certain documentaries I watch, like the Cold War. Certain spies, they use remote viewing, so they have special training to train this kind of divine eye where you can see long range without even stepping foot into the sort of enemy's territory, and they kind of bomb the place, right? So morally, there's no good or bad in its usage, but spiritually, it doesn't kind of reduce greed or anger. So to reduce greed or anger, that requires a different approach. Okay, so we call this higher mundane knowledges. Okay, so then next. Now on that occasion, a large number of monks were doing walking meditation in the open air. So they are walking around in the monastery. Then this Bahiya went to them and on arrival said, "Where, venerable sirs, is the Blessed One, the Arahant, rightly self-awakened, now staying? We want to see the Blessed One, the Arahant, rightly self-awakened." Then the monks told this Bahiya, "The Blessed One has gone into town for alms." So you can see the system at that time. The Buddha, being the chief, went for alms round, and the rest of the students, they're doing practicing. In the Thai tradition, or in most other traditions, they will let the junior monks go for the alms round. Those who are more senior or more physically challenged, you can just stay behind or stay in the monastery. But of course, they are welcome to join. And also, I believe those days, the practice were to limit the number of monks going for alms round in the same location to 3. Cannot have more than 3 monks. So it's either 3 or lesser. So nowadays you see like one large group of monks, one whole line, and they go for alms round. So they have their reasons. Okay, so, or another reason would be those monks who are doing the walking meditation may have already finished their alms round. They don't do the alms round together, same timing, so they do different timing. So they finish the alms round, they come back, and they do their walking meditation. So that could be another possibility. So they go separate locations, different timing, different venue, and they don't clump together for the alms round. So that is like the practice those days. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, then Bahiya, hurriedly leaving Jeta's grove and entering Savatthi, saw the Blessed One going for alms in Savatthi, serene and inspiring, serene confidence, calming his senses at peace, his mind at peace, having attained the utmost tranquility and poise, tamed, guarded, his senses restrained, a great one. So they call a great one a Naga also. So Naga can also mean like a snake or an elephant, like a serpent, dragon. So depending on context. So one word can have many meanings. Okay, then seeing him, he approached the Blessed One, and on reaching him, threw himself down with his head at the Blessed One's feet and said, "Teach me the Dhamma, O Blessed One, teach me Dhamma, O well gone. That will be for my long-term welfare and bliss." Okay, so from the physical sign, how can Bahiya know that know that the Buddha is practicing correctly? Okay, so we can probably take a few examples. Okay, so serene and being calm, physical or external kind of expression is one thing. The mind at peace. Okay, so for example, how do a person know when the mind is at peace or calm looking? The monastic rules, we have this thing called gazing downwards. So if you look at the statue in the diagram at the back, the background picture, normally the Buddha is depicted gazing downwards. Never have I seen, or I'm not sure whether there are any other depictions of Buddha looking upwards or gazing up, looking straight at you. So we don't have such images. So the eyes always cast downwards. So interestingly, that is part of our monastic rule also. They are called training rules. So why cast downwards? Because if our eyes are looking wide everywhere, like shopping, then it's like entertaining the senses. Entertaining the senses. So they are actually practicing sense restraint. Sense restraint, calming the senses. So when we gaze downwards, we have lesser things to see. So normally for like a retreat setting, it's more conducive. But in work, you need to cross the road, heavy traffic, you can't afford to do that all the time. Can be very dangerous. So this one needs conducive environment. So when the Buddha was walking, probably that town or that village is quite peaceful, quite calm, able to gaze downwards and walk. So we call it sense restraint, his senses restrained. And we also have this rule, if we go for alms round, if we are to stand and wait for the food, we also don't look around. So we look at our bowl, look at our alms bowl, or we look 45 degree downwards, also to keep our sense restrained, not to have craving, when does the donor come? When are they going to bring me nice food, right? So the more we send the mind out, or we sort of open, no, too wide, then the mind will be left unguarded. So this is restraining senses. And also during the alms round, we don't talk. So later on you can see from here. Next slide. Okay, when this was said, the Blessed One said to him, "This is not the time, Bahiya. We have entered the town for alms." So there's this like understanding, at least in the Buddhist context. If the monks go for alms, they are actually encouraging the layperson or the devotee to practice generosity, as in genuine generosity. It's not like an exchange. You give me food, I give you Dhamma talk. It's not a trade, it's not an exchange. So if you want to give, then you give lah. If you don't give, then you don't give. So we don't kind of exchange. So for this case, it's a bit different because Bahiya is not really giving anything. It's more like requesting for talk. So of course, it's also not the time, because the Buddha has his alms bowl there, and maybe perceived, teaching, to ask for something. So the second time, Bahiya said to the Blessed One, "But it is hard to know for sure what dangers there may be for the Blessed One's life, or what dangers there may be for mine. Teach me the Dhamma, O Blessed One. Teach me the Dhamma, O One well gone. That will be for my long-term welfare and bliss." So he's concerned because of impermanence in life, and death is certain. So there's lots of uncertainty. And second time, the Buddha also said, "This is not the time, Bahiya. We have entered the town for alms." Okay, and the third time he pleaded the same thing. And next, what happened? And eventually the Buddha answered. So it's like a rule or protocol. Normally, I think the Buddha wants to see how sincere the person. So normally after the third question, then the Buddha will entertain, will try to entertain the answer, entertain the question. Okay, so the Buddha started teaching. "Then, Bahiya, you should train yourself thus. In reference to the seen, there will be only the seen. In reference to the heard, only the heard. In reference to the sensed, only the sense." That means your bodily contact. In reference to the cognized, only the cognized. This is how you should train yourself. Oh, so interestingly, not all the sense doors. So you have the seen, which is your eyes, using eyes there. Then with reference to the heard, which is your hearing. In reference to the sense. So this one can be quite general. Yeah, so sense, we take it as your nervous system, your sense, or in general the sense doors. So all the sense doors. So he's probably in alms round, maybe not convenient to give a long, lengthy teaching. So he's summarizing the rest of the sense doors to the sense. So it can be your smelling, your tasting, your touch, and your thinking. Only the sense. In reference to the cognized, only the cognized. That is how you should train yourself. So cognized will be the mental function to have contact, perception. So that is, cognized is already contact and feeling. So that is cognized. When for you there will be only the seen in reference to the seen, only the heard in reference to the heard, only the sensed in reference to the sensed, only the cognized in reference to the cognized. Okay, then Bahiya, there is no you in connection with that. When there is no you in connection with that, then there is no you there. When there is no you there, you are neither here nor yonder nor between the two. This is the end of stress. Okay, so this is a very deep teaching, very short teaching, very profound, And with that instruction, somehow Bahiya is able to reach enlightenment with just this instruction. And we may leave the other slides to the other session. So that will be like next month. So we're going to talk a bit on these senses. So it is believed that in our previous series, we already talked about dependent origination. When we sense any of the senses, we see from the eye. When we cognize something, there will be feelings. The 5 aggregates will be at work. The only time we add something beyond that, that is our craving. Anything extra is our craving. Craving, greed and hatred with regard to the sense stimuli. So that is our own man-made suffering, self-inflicted suffering. So when they talk about a statement, seeing is just that, cognize is just that. So they are stopping at contact and feeling. So how to stop craving from arising? Somehow the Buddha never mentioned, hey, you must apply right thought, must have loving kindness, must have impermanence. So it kind of shows that this Bahiya has a very silent mind. He has trained his mind to be very silent. So when his mind is very silent, he can just follow the instruction. He's able to use his willpower to silence the mind, just like that. To see, just seeing, hearing, just hearing. So when probably following through the instructions of the Buddha, is able to achieve it. All right, so this is a very different level. It's not general instruction for most people. I think this particular teaching is uniquely for Bahiya. Yeah, uniquely for Bahiya. Okay, so I'll stop here for now, half an hour of theory, and open the floor to Q&A. Any questions on the ground? All understood? Wow, you're better than Bahiya already.
I think I
Bhante,
have,
Okay,
please carry on.
yeah,
okay.
Neng Hui, you can ask. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think when Bahia mentioned about like seeing to focus on just seeing, hearing, to focus on just hearing, actually that itself is a very, very difficult task because it requires like full concentration on the sense, on the senses. And it just occurred to me that actually he is in a way like focusing on rupa, or it could be because I think like the sense door, right? And then and then because I this is only my own thinking, I could be wrong. So when he focused directly on the senses, and then and is aware that that the senses has arisen. Okay, I'm not too sure whether it kind of like is one of the 12 lays in dependent origination, right? And then but having said that, theory being theory, I mean we can always read up and we can kind of like understand, but actually we may not have understood. This is my own thinking. Yeah, so actually it's very deep, and if you ask me, I didn't quite understand the part where I think he was like guided seeing, just seeing, hearing, just hearing. So actually, what is the key message that that's being driven at? To note the sense as it is, to note the arising and the ceasing, to note that it's empty, and for your guidance, please, Bhante.
Okay, so the summary of those set of instructions would pinpoint that with the absence of craving, because craving is not mentioned. If a person just cognize something without craving, then this ego or this becoming won't come to play. So there's a correlation between craving and becoming, existence of the sense of self. Yeah, so the sense of I or the sense of self won't be neither here, neither there, and stuff like that. So to pardon my lighting, there's power trip here and there. Yeah, so that's it's not that I disappear into non-existence or something, but yeah, so that's the gist of it. So again, no worries. We'll go through a bit of guided session. So again, this is not one session for people to understand. Like Dhamma requires lots of reanalyzing, repracticing, and it's a constant kind of research.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. Because I mean, to be very honest, although you have explained that the craving and the becoming bit, right, I haven't really quite understood also because I, because I mean that when the point was driven about just noting the sense as it is, right, without any other thing else, when you actually just focus on that sense, um, yeah, I mean, I see as a distinct thing. So I think when you mentioned about this part about the craving and that leading to the becoming, so that will start the positive change.
Yeah, so again, this set of instructions is uniquely for this Bahiya because probably he has already certain kind of concentration, so he is able to suppress or reduce craving to a certain extent. So it requires people who have reduced craving to have a sense or an idea, what is this message about. If not, ordinary non-meditator, very hard to compare. There's nothing to compare between craving state of mind versus not so much craving state of mind.
All right, sure. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, all right. Okay, anyone else? Any questions? All okay. Simple sutta.
I think Upatisa want to ask something, right?
Yeah, Upadisa, you wanting to ask something.
I just want to say that I think this is probably one of the most important, one of the most important of the Buddha's discourses. In fact, during my retreat, I used this sutta as as a contemplation. I mean, during my seats and during my walks. Okay, so I have also heard of other commentaries on this sutta, and it actually resonates with me that basically in such a short sutta, the Buddha is teaching by here three things: Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. All three within these short instructions. Sila in the sense that you see when there is definitely Indriya Samvara, like Bhante just now you mentioned the sense restraint. In the seen, there's only the seen. In the heard, there's only the heard. You don't proliferate beyond that. So that is like what the Buddha is doing, looking with downcast eyes, trying not to entertain with what he hears, okay, what he feels and what he cognizes. So this is probably the very complete of sila. This is definitely beyond not to kill, not to steal, not to engage in sensual. Yeah, this is definitely beyond that. This is almost the complete of sila, and to maintain that, it's already a form of meditation. It's to maintain it is already samadhi. And when you can finish that, the last portion is then Bahiya, you are not in it. And when you are not in it, you are not from it. And I mean that is the ultimate panya, isn't it?
Yep.
But of course, I mean, having heard this sutta so many times, I'm still not arahant. So there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so like mentioned, this is the special piece of the puzzle for Bahiya's missing puzzle. It's not meant for everybody. We have different sets of puzzle. We have sometimes lots of missing puzzle. So if we have just one this piece, not meant for us, we cannot complete the jigsaw puzzle with this set of instruction. So a lot of things, the conditions needed, know how to practice the right thought and stuff like that, or the right effort. So all these are very fine things. Only serious practitioner like Bahiya can, through this very short sermon, reach enlightenment. So for us, we are not Bahiya. Yeah. Okay, very good sharing. Anyone else? Any questions?
Yeah, Bante,
I
I have
think
one comment.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No. Please carry on.
Okay, Bante, looking on this on this teaching slide, from the way I read the text, it seems to me is the Buddha is trying to tell Bahiya on anatta. Is it?
Okay, so the last point, there is no you in connection with that. So if a person, again, depends on how you interpret this teaching. So if a person wants to be proactive with this no you, this anatta concept, then yeah, that could be one way to practice it. So another way to practice it is, no, the first two paragraphs is just the cognitive function, just cognize, without adding anything extra. So by doing so, then this sense of self won't arise. Of course, you can add in the concept of non-self to remind oneself that all these stimuli, right, have no no sense of self. It doesn't belong to us, or it's not part of us. So that's a good point, Terence. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else has anything to add? Okay. If not, then we go for a 5-minute break. So the 5-minute break and do stretching, go to the washroom. See you all back for the guided meditation. Okay, so we are going to find comfortable sitting posture. So we are slowly trying to work out what is these 6 senses and the 5 aggregates, how it kind of relate with each other. Okay, so first we make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed, and you're in a comfortable posture. Once you are okay, then we are starting to feel the sensations of the body. So we start off with the body sense door, body contact. And we are going to start to feel all the various sensations. And these sensations are the 4 elements. So these are the earth, fire, wind, water elements. Earth represents any hard and soft sensations, fire hot and cold, wind any kind of movement, fast or slow movement, and water moist or dry. So whatever sensation that arises, we just take note and we wish them well and happy. So there is no need to purposely create those sensations. We let those sensations arise naturally by themselves. And there's one extra challenge, one extra assignment. You need to know how this sensation appear to that particular part of the body. Where does it come from? So maybe at one point you may feel your neck has some tension, then later on you feel your maybe your arm or your hand has a different sensation. How does this element or these sensations or your attention move from your neck to your hand, for example? So the sensations or the locating of the mind, we call this form. This is the first aggregate. And this form or rupa made of these four elements: earth, fire, wind, water. And when rupa is there, nama is also there. Matter and mind, mind, matter, they are inseparable. Yeah, like 5 in 1, come in a package. So when you feel these sensations, will there be feelings as well? So feelings, that's the second aggregate, is defined by pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings. And the third aggregate is called perception, or sometimes called memory. Why do you call this earth element? Why do you call this fire element? Why do you call this pain? Why do you call this pleasure? So all these are perception. So perception are the lens which make you cognize or make you see things in a certain way. And together there's this thing called mental formation. So mental formation is basically any time a new thought arises, a new sensation arises, new element arises, that is mental formation. Sometimes we call it karmic formation. All the good, bad, neutral karmas, they arise and they form in certain ways, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feelings. And when it forms, then we are aware. Then awareness comes to be, called consciousness. So this consciousness, currently we are using the body, sense, door consciousness. Because you're feeling the sensations around. If you are hearing what I'm talking, then you're using your ear consciousness. So in short, when you detect a sensation, 5 aggregates are there. So depends on which aspect you want to focus. You can focus on the form, you can focus on the feeling, you can focus on perception, you can focus on other things. So all 5 are there. So the whole idea is we are not training the 5 aggregates. We're training to let go of the 5 aggregates. So the loving kindness part is to loosen the grip. It's like oiling the machinery or doing stretching before a warm-up or exercise. So every time you detect a new sensation, and you mentally wish it well and happy. And we can also observe this mind settling down, or the craving settling down. So there are formations that is linked to craving. So if you can feel a subtle kind of 4 elements arising and settling to the various sense doors, then that will be a good indicator of how much craving you have. And you can always challenge yourself, how far can the mind settle down? So we are not pushing the mind down, we are not pushing any of the elements down, we are keep on emphasizing on the right thought, loving kindness to all the sensations. The settling is the byproduct. Okay, so if the mind is quite calm, then again we can introduce the truth. All these sensations are impermanent, but they always arise and pass away. So whatever sensation you can detect, then you mentally also reflect, it arises and passes away. So I'll use the same metaphor of rowing the boat. We keep generating right thought of impermanence all the time. It's like rowing the boat. And anytime we leave the mind idle, autopilot, or we cling on to something nice, something peaceful, it's like we stop rowing the boat. And once we stop, then all the currents and the waves of the ocean will just drag the boat all around and not to our destination. So once we do nothing, only the mind will naturally cling on to the next strongest sensation or the next strongest feeling. So the impermanence part is like making the mind non-stick. So the more we apply the non-stick formula, then the craving will settle down. So you need to keep on challenge yourself. Now, how far can the mind settle down? How far can the craving reduce? No matter how quiet, can it even get quieter? And throughout the settling process, you can also observe this sense of self or sense of selfishness. Is the ego, sense of ego increasing or decreasing? So that's one way to look at it, one of the sense doors. Another way to add it, if you want, you can reflect. Are these elements, are these sensations, are these five aggregates, are they truly self? Are they truly you? Do you have total control over the arising and passing of the sensations? Can I tell my feelings to be pleasant forever? Can I tell certain element, I want this heat or this temperature to remain constant forever? Or I want certain formation, or I want this stillness to be there forever. So all this is kind of a reflection of part of the non-self. Okay, once you have a relative idea of the kind of calm the craving can be reduced to, actually can go on further, but we just temporarily make use of this as a control. Then you can extend to the other senses. Instead of just feeling the body, we can let the mind be unrestricted. We don't have to just feel the perimeter circumference of the body. We can extend to all the other senses, let the mind freestyle, no restriction, no need to fixate anywhere, no pushing of the mind, basically no interference. Let the mind function as naturally as possible. Wherever it wants to roam, let it roam around freely. But the only thing we need to do is to observe how this attention arise and pass away. So like if I'm talking, then most probably your attention is to my voice, but if I stop talking, where is your attention now? So again, to locate your attention, you can make use of the four elements. the sensation of the attention will be there. So every time you keep reflecting on impermanence, then also you can continue the challenge to see how far the craving can reduce or settle. So in order to keep the mind from going beyond cognizing, we need to keep applying right thought. So you keep on observing impermanence, how this attention arises and passes away. Mentally also you need to repeat like a mantra, either thinking of impermanence, change, arising, passing, whichever label you're comfortable with. Because once you stop only, then the mind will cling onto something, and the mind will create all of dramas, a lot of stories, many episodes, many series. So for this particular Bahiya Sutta, right, the Buddha mentioned this is not self, that is, it's not totally your control. So whatever, whenever the mind moves to another place, it moves by itself, or is it you moving it in its most natural state? So every time you cognize a new area or a new spot, then you need to reflect, hey, this is not your doing. So you stick to one theme. If you want to stick with impermanence, then impermanence all the way. So you're going to stick with non-self, then you stick with non-self. So The whole idea is, if you know whether your reflection is correct, is to observe this craving, whether is it arising or is it settling down. So it's actually practicing mindfulness in a scattered state of mind, when the mind is freestyle. So if you want to zoom down to one of the sense doors, for example, let's say we start to visualize mind sense door. Again, visualize parts of the body. We can think of the hairs of the head, hairs of the body. And when you switch to a sense door, new contact, new object will then be clinging. Will craving arise. So when craving arises, it will manifest in the form of tension compared to a non-craving mind. So how to reduce this stress or tension? That is to have the right reflection. All these images, all these hairs, they're impermanent. So you may choose to think of the aging process of the hair, growing and falling of the hairs, or you can stick with one image but observe the arising and passing of the 5 aggregates in relation to that image. So there must be an element of impermanence for the mind or the craving to settle down. And most importantly is to observe the settling of this craving, the reduction of craving. That is the main objective. we can think of the other parts of the body, like your nails, fingernails and toenails. And we can think of its impermanence. And then we can think of the teeth, or teeth inside the mouth. We wish, or not we wish, we think of their impermanence, or the teeth, or the 5 aggregates associated with the teeth, arising and passing away. And then we can ask ourselves, is the perception truly self? Can the image in your mind be exactly the same as the teeth that you look in the mirror? How many people have 100% photographic memory? Okay, then we can think of the skin. We wish, think of the impermanence of the skin, how the skin arise and pass away, or the 5 aggregates of the skin arise and pass away. Sometimes there are like strong sensations which are very tempting, things like sleepiness. So that is when we sort of idle and the mind will naturally cling onto it. Always be mindful of impermanence to overcome craving. Okay, so that is in non-samadhi kind of consciousness or state of mind. We also can think of impermanence. So now we are going to focus on one small area. Let's say like below your breath, below the nostril, above the upper lip. And just observe the in and out breathing. No need to control your breathing. Let it breathe using a reflex action. We just observe the four elements and the sensation at the tip of the skin below the nostril, above the upper lip. One small area. And the same thing every time when inhale, exhale, or any change in elements, then we keep on observing impermanence. Or we're going to stick to non-self, and these elements come about through your volition, through your will, or is it appearing by itself? So we always aim for the higher frequency, the higher rate, depending on which one is faster, the rate of change of the elements or your inhalation, exhalation. So the minimum bar will be your inhalation, exhalation. Sometimes in between, when you inhale once, you may have multiple elemental changes. So whatever you can observe which is faster, then you use that as your reflection. Even at a small area, we are not controlling the mind or the breath. Any form of control is craving, and if there's craving, then there will be tension and stress. So the art is wherever you place your attention, the mind can also be at ease and at peace. Okay, so even though we have not entered any state of concentration, just a restricted mind, due to time constraint, we're going to sum up and same gentle reminder, whatever we do, always mindful of impermanence. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, but informally still can practice detachment, impermanence and detachment in all activities. So if you want to truly practice what the Bahiya Sutta is saying, whatever you see, hear, smell, think, taste and touch, you need to not cling. Okay, so with that, any further questions? All okay? No issues, then we end the session with a concluding chant. Okay, sorry, Anumodana. Akasata ca Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang tang anumoditva Chirang rakantu loka sasanang Etavata ca amhehi Sampadang punya sampadang Sabbe deva sabbe bhuta sabbe satta anumodantu Sabba sampati siddhya. Dedication of merits to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yavani bana patiya sadhu sadhu sadhu. Okay, so next week there's no lesson because I have another conference to attend.